Ever find yourself wondering if she's just being friendly or if there's something deeper brewing beneath the surface? It's a tricky line to walk, especially when she's a colleague, a gym buddy, or a friend you've known for years. Misreading the signs can lead to awkwardness, embarrassment, or worse, a dent in your confidence. Here's the thing. Women don't always express romantic interest in obvious ways. Often it's in the subtle, almost imperceptible gestures. The way her eyes linger just a little too long, the softness in her smile, or the way she fidgets when you're near. Pay close attention to sign 5. The accidental glance, it's a giveaway. She doesn't even realize she's broadcasting. And when you spot sign 1, the unspoken affection you'll know she's truly hooked. Let's break it all down. Sign 1, the lingering gaze. Picture this. You're sitting across from her at a coffee shop, catching up after a meeting. You share a story about the time you completely butchered a DIY project at home, and she's staring right at you. Not in a distracted, polite way, but as if she's genuinely glued to every word you say. Her eyes don't wander around the room. They stay locked on yours. Her gaze soft yet focused. This isn't your typical friendly eye contact. It's prolonged, and it comes with a warmth that says, I'm really into what you're saying. Why? Because when someone feels a connection, their brain releases dopamine, a chemical linked to pleasure and reward. That lingering gaze. It's her way of soaking up that moment with you. It's not just about the story, it's about you. But what if her interest goes even deeper than just her eyes? Let's move on to a sign that happens without her even realizing it. Sign to dilated pupils of desire. Let's set the scene. You're at the gym, chatting near the water fountain. She laughs at something you said. Her face lights up, and if you're paying attention, her pupils are just slightly larger than usual. Here's the kicker. This is something she can't control. Pupil dilation happens when the brain signals attraction or excitement. The science. It's evolutionary. Back when we were hunting and gathering or trying not to get eaten, dilated pupils were a sign of trust and openness. Today, they still act as a subtle signal that someone is emotionally or physically drawn to you. Now, don't go staring at her like pupils you're trying to decode a secret message. Just take note of the overall vibe. If her eyes seem more alive when she's around you, especially when the lighting hasn't changed, you've likely got her attention in more ways than one. Pupils dilation is subtle. But what if there's something even more obvious right there on her face? Let's talk about the kind of smile that isn't just polite, it's personal. Sign 3, the subtle smile. Imagine this. You're in the office break room, grabbing coffee before the morning chaos begins. You crack a small joke about how the copier has more personality than the new manager. She laughs, but it's not just a quick grin and done. Instead, her smile lingers, pulling at the corners of her eyes, making them crinkle slightly. That's a ducken smile, a fancy name for a genuine smile that screams, "You make me happy." Here's what's cool. Psychologists have studied these smiles extensively. They're linked to authentic emotions, not just social niceties. If her smile feels warm and almost involuntary, it's a sign she's emotionally engaged. Bonus points if she sneaks a glance at you while smiling, as if to gauge your reaction. A smile is great, but what if she's giving you more than that? Like a subtle cue that she's leaning into your world. Literally, here's how to spot it. Sign for the tilted head. Picture this. You're talking to her at a networking event. The room is buzzing, but every time you say something, she tilts her head slightly to the side. Maybe she rests her chin lightly in her hand or lets her hair fall just a bit. This isn't just a random pose. It's body language 101. A tilted head exposes the neck, one of the most vulnerable parts of the body. It's a subconscious way of showing trust and openness, almost like saying, "You have my attention and I feel safe with you." Plus, the tilt makes her look more engaged in what you're saying. If she's soaking up every word, watch for this next time you're at lunch with her or catching up after a meeting. She's tilting her head, leaning in slightly and locking onto you. She's broadcasting her interest loud and clear, even if she doesn't realize it. Head tilts are subtle, but what about when she doesn't think you're looking? That's when the real signals start to show. Sign 5. The accidental glance. You're both at a casual after-work get-together. You're talking to someone else, but out of the corner of your eye, you notice she's stealing glances at you. She's not making it obvious, just quick, fleeting looks when she thinks you won't catch her. This is one of the most revealing signs because it's completely unintentional. When someone's attracted to you, their brain goes into hyper-awareness mode, making them more likely to check in on you without realizing it. Think of it like this. Her glance is her subconscious saying, I wonder what he's up to. The fun part. If you do catch her looking and she blushes, fidgets, or quickly looks away, that's her body's way of covering up her heart just revealed. Accidental glances are easy to miss. But what's even more revealing is when she's completely at ease around you. If her entire vibe softens when you're nearby, it's not just comfort. It's a sign she feels something deeper. Let's talk about the relaxed expression. That speaks volumes. Sign 6. The relaxed expression. Imagine you're at the gym, catching your breath after a set. She's on the treadmill nearby, and as you casually chat about weekend plans, her face seems soft. There's no tension in her forehead. No signs of distraction. Her expression is completely open. Her body language relaxed. This is more than just casual friendliness. It's her subconscious signaling comfort. When someone is genuinely interested and feels emotionally connected, their face mirrors that feeling. It's psychology and action. The release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, physically relaxes facial muscles. So if her expression seems calm and serene whenever you're around, take it as a sign she feels at ease, and likely a lot more than that. Relaxation is great, but what if she's doing something a bit more active, like leaning into your space? Literally keep watching. Sign 7. The mutual lean. Picture this: you're at a work lunch with colleagues. The conversation is flowing, and as you share a story, you notice she's leaning ever so slightly toward you. Her chair isn't the culprit. She's physically closing the space between you, while her body stays angled in your direction, even if others are speaking. Leaning in is a classic body language cue that says, I'm drawn to you. It's rooted in evolutionary psychology. When someone feels safe and engaged, they instinctively reduce the physical distance between you. This can be subtle, like leaning her elbow on the table closer to your side, or shifting her weight toward you during a conversation. Here's a tip. Next time you're seated next to her, lean slightly back. If she adjusts to stay closer, she's probably more invested in your presence than the others around. So she's leaning in. But what happens when she thinks no one's watching? Let's talk about those secret little moments she doesn't realize she's showing. Sign 8. The fidget and fix. You're both waiting for your coffee at the cafe. As you chat, you notice she's adjusting her hair, smoothing her shirt, or fiddling with her jewelry. These small movements might seem random, but they're anything but. In psychology, these are known as preening behaviors, subconscious actions that happen when someone wants to look their best. It's a deeply ingrained biological cue, dating back to when our ancestors competed for attention in the wild. If she's suddenly fussing with her appearance whenever you're around, it's her body's way of saying, I want to make a good impression. Bonus points if she mirrors your movements, crossing her legs when you do, or leaning forward when you adjust your seat. Mirroring is a sign of deep rapport and connection. Adjusting her hair is one thing, but what if her entire face lights up when you're near? Let's look at the most unmistakable sign of all. Sign 9. The face-lighting smile. You walk into the office, and before you even said a word, her face changes. It's as if someone turned on a light switch. Her lips curve into a wide smile, and her eyes brighten. This isn't a polite smile she'd give to just anyone. It's full of warmth and genuine excitement. Psychologists call this an affiliative cue, a nonverbal signal that conveys connection and fondness. When she reacts this way simply to your presence, it's a strong sign she feels something deeper. Pay attention to how her smile looks when she greets others. If it's noticeably bigger and more authentic. When it's aimed at you, that's no coincidence. A smile can say a lot, but what if her emotions are written all over her face during those quiet shared moments? Let's dive into the most vulnerable look of all. Sign 10, the unspoken affection look. It's the end of the day. You're both tidying up after a team project or closing tabs at the coffee shop. She doesn't say anything, but when you look up, you catch her gazing at you. Her face is soft, her eyes gentle, and the moment feels like it stretches longer than it should. This in-love look is the epitome of vulnerability. It's a fleeting silent moment where she's too wrapped up in her emotions to hide them. According to neuroscience, eye contact activates the limbic system, the emotional center of the brain. When she looks at you like this, it's not just physical attraction, it's a mix of admiration, affection, and emotional connection. This look often happens during quiet moments when you're not even trying to impress her. It's raw, unfiltered, and impossible to fake catching her in this state. That's when you know you're on her mind and in her heart. So have you been missing the signal? She's been quietly sending you all along. Don't leave her wondering if you'll ever notice. Start paying attention to these subtle, yet powerful signs today. Which of these looks have you seen before, but brushed off? Drop a comment below. Your next move might just change everything.